Hey guys, it's Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Winner's Wish, continuing chapter 6 of Tojo's route. So we're investigating the castle again, because as you can see, the next day, Tojo and I investigated inside the castle again with the Oniwaban's permission. And do you see emotional imprints anywhere? Not at the moment. Even though we were doing what we normally did, I felt uneasy. It made me restless to think Tominari might be watching us right at this very moment. I can't tell if I can feel his eyes on me or not. Probably because I have it in my head that I'm being watched. Here's the thing, though. Now that we know we're being watched... okay. Tojo probably assumed, and he might have said that in the last part, I don't remember. I figured you'd be watching me, but so if he knows he's being watched or assumed they were watching him, he wouldn't do anything nefarious or shady. So you watching him is kind of pointless. Because watch him and make sure he doesn't do anything shady. And then Tojo's like, they're watching me, so why would I go and do anything shady if I were shady? I mean, he's not, but if he was, why would he do anything shady? Even thinking possibly they were watching him. Now that he knows for a fact they're watching him, he's like, well, I'm definitely not going to do anything shady now. So, you're defeating your own purpose here. I think, I don't know. But anyway. And don't let it bother you too much. I wasn't about to ask what he meant. Either way, Tojo seemed to know I had something on my mind. Objectively speaking, I can understand why they don't trust me. Let them watch all they want. You have a point there. I shot a furtive glance at his neck while nodding cheerfully. His threads were the color of impatience, the polar opposite of the smile on his face. Well, and then it's kind of cute that he's just trying to be yeah, no, we're cool. And then inside he's like, damn it. I don't know if he's, is he impatient with us or just impatient with the whole thing? She's going to take it as he's impatient with me. But, he is impatient. You know what I mean? He doesn't want to die, as chill as he's being about it. Especially now, before, when he was barely cracked, it was well, those are the rules. I don't like it. Kind of sucks, but those are the rules. Now he's fuck. Makes sense he's feeling impatient when we haven't found any leads. I couldn't bring up his threads, though. There was no need to mention them. Even if I did, I knew all it would do was upset him. Besides, Chiyoda Castle's huge. There's a bunch of rooms, so the summoner's spoiled for choices when it comes to hiding places. When and how did the summoner even make it in the first place? The castle's so closely guarded. And that's been bugging me too. Common sense would say that nobody could sneak their way into the castle, but who's distrusting a child? I mean, they should, rightfully so, right about now, but who would normally do that? You know what I mean? You'd be like, oh, okay, look at the kid, okay. Also, they're small. It's probably easier to not see them sneaking in than it would be to an adult trying to sneak in, It's a mystery to me where they're hiding the children, not just how they got in. You'd think it'd be hard to find somewhere to hide that many children. If they're making them summon Blightfall, they also need to take the children near where they want the Blightfall summoned. You'd think that would stick out. Well, unless they're only using one child at a time and not all of them. Seems like the city commissioners finally started their search, too. Yeah, the children's families don't want it to go public, although they can't say that now. If they still can't find them, does that mean they've been taken somewhere else? Nah, there hasn't been any intel stating a group that large left Edo. A different story altogether if they split them into small groups before taking them elsewhere. But if their goal is to attack Edo, they wouldn't go out of their way to leave. The suspect and the children must be here in Edo. But again, if they've possessed the children, they could send the child off, mind-possessed child, one child to break into Chiyoda Castle and do this. It doesn't have to be some scary dude with 9 kids in tow. That's what you're looking for, but that's probably not the case, Because, again, that'd be obvious. Unless you put a couple of kids and it's like three kids in trench coats, then, you know, then that would make the three raccoons in a trench coat blend in a little more. You'd be like, that's strange, all those dudes in trench coats. It'd be difficult for them to hide all of the children at once, but they haven't necessarily left Ito either, meaning you think they split up the kids so they wouldn't stick out, then hid them? It's entirely possible. Then he gave me a light pat on the back in praise. He probably didn't even realize he was doing it. Treating me like a kid again. Being treated like a little kid didn't bother me nearly as much as it used to when his heart was still sealed away. The summoner might be able to control Blightfall from a distance, but they still need to be close enough based on the examples we've seen thus far. Wait a minute. Being treated like a kid didn't bother me nearly as much as it used to when his heart was sealed away. Why does that seem backwards to me? Like his heart's sealed away, he has no emotion, and you were a bother that he was treating you like a child. Now that his emotions are out and open and whatever, now you're like, it's totally cool that he treats me like a kid. I would think now it should bother you more. It should be like, it bothered me when he treated me like a child because I had feelings for him even though he had no feelings for me. So of course he's going to treat you like that because he doesn't think of you at all, really. You know what I mean? Like, you're a comrade and a compatriot and like maybe a friend in a sense, but there's no emotion really there. Like, well, no deeper emotion, like deep emotion, right? And now that he's got emotions, his emotions are unlocked. Treating you like a child should bother you more. Because you're like, I'm in love with this man who is now capable of being in love with me and he's treating me like a child. Whereas before, he is not capable of loving me, so him treating me like a child is just only bothering you because of your feelings for him. So, like, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. That, like, now that he's got emotions, you're like, you can treat me like a kid. Ma'am, I'm not sure you're processing this properly. Like, am I crazy? It doesn't make sense to me, but whatever. I had to go back because I'm like, did I read that wrong? Like, am I backward? No, I think that's backwards logic. I don't know. And think about the Blightfall that appeared here yesterday. At least one of the kids must have been here inside the castle. If we can identify where the summoner might have been lurking, we might be able to figure out their infiltration route too. And if we do, we might be able to tell where the other children are, right? Exactly, because... Tojo looked up at the ceiling like he just noticed something, then looked down at his feet. Right. The summoner's a kid, and they wouldn't necessarily hide in the same place as an adult would. Maybe they're hiding somewhere an adult wouldn't normally enter, like the city warehouse. I mean, and that when they say the city warehouse, I think of like a warehouse for the city, not there's a city warehouse for each mansion or whatever, right? But like, didn't you find an oyster catcher in one of those that burned down or what? Like, you know what I mean? So like, yeah, it makes sense. You mean like above the ceiling or under the floorboards? You think it's worth looking? I mean, see, here's the thing, Tojo. You should have played hide and seek with the kids, and then you'd know where kids hide. Afterward, we explained the situation to the government official in charge. After negotiating, we got permission to look above the ceiling and under the floors. Checking this ourselves revealed the space under the floors to be so cramped even a child wouldn't be able to move around. We saw no tracks either. We also checked above the ceiling and saw no signs that anyone had been there. All we found was a thin layer of dust. And you'd see the tracks in dust, so... See? That's why I don't dust. Because if someone ever breaks into my house and steals stuff, I'll be like, there was something right there where all that dust is. It's a clean spot. Something was clearly there that they took. I don't know what it was, but... I guess we're completely off base then. It happens. Despite feeling a tad bit discouraged, we continued looking around inside the castle. As we made our way further inside, Tojo began to speak in a rather sentimental tone. You're probably the only reason I'm allowed to investigate inside the castle. What do you mean? We're not supposed to be looking around here in the first place. We were granted permission to look around, but the Onewabon of the inside of the castle covered. The Onewabon must be expecting you to find some new leads. I bet they wouldn't have given me permission if I were by myself. Am I being useful to you? I couldn't be more helpful if you tried. Thanks. I was touched by the sincere gratitude in his voice. The threads around his neck said he was lying through his fucking teeth, though. No, I'm just kidding. I was glad I'd stuck with him. I knew I hadn't been wrong when I decided to take his side. You're welcome. I smiled radiantly, happiness bubbling up inside me. Hoping he'll pet my head again. Here's the thing. I mean, she does that when she gets there, like, he's petting my head like I'm a child. Like, well, but sometimes a head pat's nice. Like, like pat you on the head and you're like, okay. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes you don't have to assume he's treating you like a child when he does that. Finally, we reached the innermost part of the castle where Lord Yoshimune stayed. And also, I mean, to be fair, sometimes somebody like doing something that is like, oh, I'd pat a kid on the head, I'd pat an adult on the head. Okay, yeah, oh, you're treating me like a child. That's okay sometimes. It's just the fact that, like, she's constantly seeing everything he does as treating her like a child. That it, where you're like, okay, a little head pat's not a bad thing, but anyway. It probably goes without saying that we can't go inside, even though they said we had permission to be here, doesn't it? And they didn't designate any places as off limits, but best not to push it. Actually, I'd like to check out where his lordship dwells, since that would be the most likely target. Tojo and I stared at the sliding door in front of us, reluctant to leave. Want to open it? Shall we? You want to sneak into his room? They're not going to cut us down the second we open the door, right? Or shoot arrows at us, right? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Cut you down, maybe. Shooting arrows inside? Guys, take it outside. That's an outdoor sport. We'll be fine. Probably. I quietly opened the door a bit hesitantly. Lord Yoshimune's in there dancing in his underpants. And you're like, oops. Maybe you should have knocked. On the other side of the sliding door was a hallway similar to the one we had walked down earlier. Oh, okay, it's just a door separating his hall from the peon's hall. Okay. Like, for some reason, I couldn't quite place. It felt familiar. Haven't we been here before? I'm guessing it was an audience room or something, not his private area. Oh, or this. Is this the hallway I walked down the first time I came to Chiyoda Castle? It is. Good guess. We showed you around when you had an audience with the Shogun. Man, that feels like ages ago already. Oh, okay, so his audience room is inside his private area. When you say private area, it sounds wildly inappropriate and not what I meant. Like, it really does. Thinking back on it moved me deeply. I'd been so confused at the time, I barely knew up from down. I didn't have the faintest idea what I was supposed to be doing. That's like me on a daily basis. But now I was determined to save Ito and the children, no matter what it took. I don't think that's a determination that I could come to. You know what I mean? Just like, I didn't have the faintest idea what I was supposed to be doing. Me, every day. But, like, I'm determined to save Ito. I don't think that's gonna fly for me. Like, I think it's a little late for that. And Tojo, too. I'm in game sense, yes, but I mean, like, in reality. Like, who's screaming? Absolutely not! Just then we heard an angry voice coming from down the hallway. Was that Lord Yoshimune? I wonder what they're squabbling about. It didn't sound like a squabble. Who knows? We can't just let it go. The worst case scenario could be happening as we speak. We decided to quietly make our way down the hall. It's an emergency. Shh, tiptoe. We opened the sliding screen a bit and peeked in. A few retainers had been granted an audience. Whatever they were discussing had Lord Yoshimune looking rather cross. I feel like now we're just spying. We should have, like, peeked in and been like, okay, he's just discussing business. We can leave now. Behind them stood Kyoshiro, his guard. Oh, show him. Show my boyfriend. They must be talking about Blightfall countermeasures. The retainers were insisting that Lord Yoshimune leave Ito at once for his own safety, but he seemed to be refusing to. What good would it do if I run away knowing full well that I'm the enemy's target? If they knew I'd left Ito, they'd harm the children they've kidnapped to make an example of them, and the destruction of Ito would know no bounds. Good for him being like, it's not about me, goddammit. Good for you. I mean, it is about you, but you know what I mean? I feel like there's a lot of political leaders who'd be like, peace out, bitches! Fuck all y'all! And he's like, I am here to serve the people. Not, they worship, not they kiss my ass. Even though they do kiss your ass, but you know what I mean? In fact, it's much easier to determine where the enemy's located while I serve as a decoy. Also noble, because again, most people would be like, fuck that! Let everybody else die, I'm going into the bunker. So, like, good for you. They don't really make them like this anymore, do they? If you have time to come up with useless ideas, you have time to locate the enemy post-haste. You have no need to fear for my safety with the Oniwaban on my side. I can't believe Lord Yoshimune's raising his voice when he's normally so mild-mannered because he's offended. It's like, how dare you think I'm going to tuck tail and run and hide? They could hurt kids. Bullshit. Good for you, bro. That must have been a strong sense of justice at work. Lord Yoshimune's stubbornness had the retainers at a complete loss. I mean, it's not unfair for them to be like, maybe you should hide. And him being like, no. You know. In the end, they concluded their visit with the Shogun, having failed to convince him. Only Lord Yoshimune and Kiyoshiro were left in the room, with Tojo and I separated from them by the sliding door. You'd think Kiyoshiro would know you're listening. I spoke to Tojo, my voice barely above a whisper. Guess we'll just have to stay here a little while longer. It seems so. Not really. You could sneak away. Tojo interrupted me, then looked past the sliding door. You could close the door and sneak away. Have they noticed us? Probably. I followed his gaze, only to lock eyes with Kiyoshiro in the gap of the sliding door. I was going to say, that man has to know you're there. I froze. He seemed to know we'd been watching from the very start. I love him. His face says everything, and also nothing. His face literally says nothing. I love how just dead-faced he is. He has no nothing. He is perfect. God damn, I love him so much. It's a shame. Honestly, here's the thing. The good thing about not being able to date him is the fact that, like, if you broke him and he had emotions, he would be a totally different person. Right now, he's an emotionless robot, and that's why I love him. But also, I want to date my emotionless robot. And also, like, to put the two overlap in that Venn diagram, the center area is we get to date our emotionless robot, and he becomes the squishiest little fucking marshmallow in all of existence, and is just ooey gooey and saccharine sweet, because all of a sudden he gets emotions, and he's just like the most adorable fucking thing ever. And then it's like, he was like an emotionless robot, and now he's like a gooey little marshmallow. Look at him. And like, you know, and that I could deal with that. Yeah, I like that. I want that. I need that. Let us date the captains, goddammit. Come on. These games like to... Listen, Otome games love to be like, here's a 20-year age gap. So, I mean, considering the fact that these men are supposed to be a certain age, but they're probably only like 3 if you think about it, because he's like, well, I was a vase last week, and now look at me. I'm X amount of years old. You're not. You're like a week old. You're like a baby. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, to be fair, depending... They were a vase that's been passed around to families, and they have had an awareness for God knows how long. So technically, before they became human, they were a vase with an awareness. So is that when they came to life? You know what I mean? Well, all of a sudden they're like, I remember shit, you know? Before they were running around on their human legs. You know what I'm saying? So like... So he could be a 200-year-old vase, and you're like, is he 200? Is he 3 days old because he just turned into a human 3 days ago? Is he like 25? Like, you don't know. You don't really know. It's like, so this is the perfect game to let us date the captains. Doesn't matter how old they are, right? It doesn't matter. Because, like, whatever. I'm just saying. Games like age gaps, they love doing it. So, like, this is the perfect game to have them. Because, like, They're going all sorts of different directions. The age gaps are all over. They're just bouncing all over like a ping pong ball at this point. Because who the fuck knows? So fun. Just let me date. I'm just trying to find any excuse to let me date these three. You know what I mean? Just saying. Because I love my bitchy little wizard, too. He just looks... doesn't belong in the samurai game. He belongs in, like, a wizard game. I love it. I love that he just, like... You're like, you are wearing samurai garb, but you are a wizard, sir. I don't... You're a wizard, Yabuta. Anyway. I froze. He seemed to know we'd been watching from the start. I do love this game. It's so much fun. It's ridiculous. Well, I guess he wouldn't be fit to guard Lord Yoshimune if he let this slip past him. Kyushiro whispered something into Lord Yoshimune's ear, probably informing him of our presence. The traitor's here. I see. I'll allow it. You may come in. Lord Yoshimune beckoned us in, amused. He's fun. I like him. Again, also because he's like, fuck that, I'm not running away, they'll hurt the kids. And he's like, so much better than most, like, leaders that we got going on in the modern time. Or even in past times. I'm just saying. He's doing what he should be doing. You serve the people. Your job is to serve them. Like, you know? So, like, good for you, actually, like, understanding your place in the circle here. You know? Plus, he's just fun. And most characters in this are fun. Have we met one that's an asshole that we hate? I don't think we've met an asshole character. Even the assholes are nice. You know, you're an asshole, but it's fun. So, if the shogun of the entire country asks, who am I to say no? Tojo and I looked at each other, then timidly set foot inside the room and into his presence. I mean, also in this time period, like, who am I to say no? I mean, you can't say no, but you might get stabbed, so fair enough. Please accept our apologies for being so impolite as to eavesdrop. My sincerest apologies, my lord. No need to humble yourselves. I also wanted to speak with you. Like, we heard you yelling and we came to just make sure you were okay, and then eavesdropping happened. And then it was like, do we leave? But they left, and then it was like, now we're in a weird spot, so we're in a little bit of a pickle. Kyoshiro, could you step outside for a brief moment? But Kunitaka... Tojo still hadn't been cleared of his charges. It only made sense for Kyoshiro to be suspicious of him. I said to step outside. I understand your misgivings, but have no fear. Kyoshiro still tried to object, but finally relented after being on the receiving end of Lord Yoshimune's strong-willed gaze. Understood. At least allow me to stand guard outside the room. That I cannot concede. I mind not. I mind not. I just love that. Then, if you'll excuse me. As Kyoshiro walked past Tojo on his way out, he had one thing to say. No funny business. I mean, what kind of funny business do you think we're going to get up to, sir? The only funny business... I mean, you're talking to Tojo. I don't think he's doing that kind of funny business with the Shogun. Sir. And, like, you're outside, and if we start getting into funny business, please join us. Like... You come here for this shit. You come here so that I make inappropriate comments on things that you were either going like, I thought the same thing, or you were like, I didn't, but now I am thinking it, and thank you, Spacey. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. So you're welcome. With that, he stepped outside the room. That must mean you're here too, aren't you, Tominari? I can tell, even though you're hiding. When Lord Yoshimune spoke past us toward the back of the room, Tominari immediately appeared. Slips out from behind a lantern, and you're like, that lantern's like a foot off the... How the fuck? Come to think of it, Tominari must have been here tailing us. My apologies for hiding. I was tasked with monitoring Kunitaka. I'm aware, but you're dismissed from your post for the time being. Please leave for a while. Understood. Slips back and disappears behind a vase, and you're like, He's still hiding. Tominari left without a fight, probably because he'd just watched Kyoshiro leave the room not long ago. The fact that he got into the room with nobody noticing him, though, is kind of astounding. He wasn't outside hiding. He was in the room. He was hiding in the room. How the fuck did he sneak in? This left only Lord Yoshimune, Tojo, and myself in the room. Okay, so like he's one of the last ones, and Otaro's also one of the like the ones that you have to do at the end. So like you think he's like a smoke monster, sorta? Because like that's the only way I can think of. He just slipped into the room while nobody noticed. He just poofs into smoke and hides in a vase. You know what I mean? I don't know. There's something sus about that. Like, how the like he's really good at being undercover. I mean, seriously. We were hiding outside, peeking through a crack in the door. Kyoshiro noticed us. Okay, sure, fine, because, he wouldn't be good at his job if he didn't. But, like, Tominari somehow, as we were walking in, snuck in the room with us and nobody noticed him? Well, Kyoshiro and obviously Lord Yoshimune did. But we didn't, we're like, we know he's there, but, like, we didn't notice that he just followed us in the room? I'm just saying that's a little suspicious. And since his route's locked, really, like, I don't know. I don't know. Does he turn into a little pill? He turns into his pill case and he just rolls into place. Anyway. Did I read this? Left Lord Yoshimune, Tojo, myself in the room? Okay. I wonder what he wants to talk to us about. It's gonna be like, are you manipulating the children? Dude, we've already been over this. It must have been important for him to clear the room like that. He's like, you can tell me. I won't tell anybody. Like, Lord Yoshimune carefully observed us while I sat there, flustered. No need to be so formal, you two. Now then, Spacey. Yes? Why are you on Kunitaka's side? Because I'm in love with him. It seemed as though Lord Yoshimune knew that Tojo was under suspicion for what had happened recently. I said as much to the rest of the Oniwaban, but I can see emotional imprints in the form of black threads, and because of that I know Tojo is innocent. I couldn't stand idly by while my innocent friend was suspected of a crime, so I decided to work with him to clear his name. I see. Is that really all? Don't make me tell you I'm in love with him. It's embarrassing. Huh? If Blightfall summoned via cursed objects don't leave behind emotional imprints, then is it not possible that Kunitaka might not either? But they do leave emotional imprints. Well, Blightfall summoned via cursed objects doesn't leave behind emotional imprints, but there are emotional imprints on the cursed objects themselves. We've seen that. That's precisely why Kyoshiro and other Oniwaban cannot trust him. Why do you insist so strongly on believing in this vessel? Because, after giving it some thought, I replied, he wouldn't do something like that. He's a precious friend. He wouldn't do something like that. I've already seen the answer, but also it makes sense. Because when I opened my guide, it was scrolled up too far. So, I already saw the answer for this one, but, yeah. But also, I mean, to be fair, out of the two, that is a very, like, he's a precious friend. It's like, he wouldn't do that. That's more, he's my friend. That is, like, so not, like, just because they're your friend doesn't mean they're not a shady asshole. Like, my friend could still be a criminal. You'd be like, they're my friend. And I never expected they would be a serial killer. You know what I mean? But, like, being like, he wouldn't do that is speaking to his character, not your emotional state, you know? Suspecting Tojo probably is the correct thing to do under these circumstances, as you say, my lord. But having been in close contact with him, I know for a fact he would never do such a thing. I saw for myself how genuine and sincere he is when interacting with the kids at school. And how devastated he'd look when he found out the children were the summoners. I saw it, which is why I don't believe he's the mastermind behind all this. I put more faith in what I can see with my own eyes than what other people say. Good for us. That's a good fucking way to phrase it. Like, I trust what I see with my own eyes than what people tell me. Yeah. Spacey. I could tell he was relieved based on the color of his threads. I felt a bit proud, knowing it was because I was giving him my support. Lord Yoshimune nodded with satisfaction at what I'd said before turning towards Tojo. By the by, Kunitaka, are you able to use the snow sacrament? I was puzzled. Tojo was a vessel. Of course he could use the snow sacrament. It wasn't even worth checking. But no, not anymore. However, he said nothing in response to Lord Yoshimune's question. His face stiffened. She should have made that assumption that we made in the last part. That's why when he cracked the thing on the Blightfall, the oyster catcher or whatever, it didn't disappear because he can't do it anymore. He's as useless as Miyagi and Yabuta. Well, threads around his neck were the color of impatience and dismay. Tojo, you don't mean... You may not know this, Spacey, but a vessel who has regained their heart and memories can neither perform the snow sacrament any longer, nor exist as a vessel. Huh? I heard from Kyoshiro that Kunitaka had regained his memories. You also seem to be paying quite a bit of attention to Kunitaka's neck, which confirmed my suspicions about his heart. Tojo, is it true you can't perform the snow sacrament? Yeah, it's as his lordship says. No. Thinking back, Tojo's attacks hadn't been very effective while fighting the Blightfall inside the castle. In the end, Tominari had performed the snow sacrament. He was already incapable of using it then. My lord, may I ask you a question? You may. What did you mean when you said that I could no longer exist as a vessel once I regained my heart and memories? Because he's like, I'm trying to fight so they don't kill me, but if you're basically going to tell me, like, you're just going to poof out of existence, what's the point? He's going to be like, you're going to be like a human now, bitch. Oh! Oh no! I meant what I said. When a vessel regains their heart and memories, they're unable to maintain their human form and eventually cease to exist. That's what I was hoping wasn't going to happen. How do we there's going to be a way to stop this. It's not going to be like we fall in love with him, it's happy, and then he poofs and it turns into a tobacco pouch again. We're going to save our boyfriend, but... Or as a human might call it, they die. So again, he's like, what is the point of me trying to clear my name if I'm going to die anyway? Die? He's like, it might be... He's like, yeah, when you're like 80. Like... Tojo's eyes widened with surprise. This was apparently news to him. Like form folk, death for a vessel means their body disappears. The original object remains, but they can never again be resurrected as a form folk or vessel. Regaining either their heart or memory won't guarantee a vessel will cease to exist. They may even be able to use the snow sacrament, but regaining both... My mind went blank as I listened to his explanation. No way. Tojo is going to die? Okay, I'm sorry, but, listen, if we played this far and we get to the point where every single one of our boyfriends dies, in the end, I loved you for a while and now you're back to just being a tobacco pouch that has no feelings and no emotions or anything, and then I will riot and I will ban all y'all who voted for this. I will find you. And no, we don't get to have a fun little peppy game and then they all die in the end. That's not how this is going to go. This is not that kind of game. Don't you do it. So, I have trust issues after playing some of our depressing games, okay? I do. And I have really trust issues since we're playing Verche in tandem with this, which is almost done. And they made me replay the whole entire first fucking game, and I'm like, I have serious trust issues now. How dare you? But, so now I'm like, you know what? There's a 1% chance that this game's gonna disappoint me. But, 99% chance we're gonna find a way to make him survive. And now you're just a normal human, brah. Whatever. He can't die. In a bad ending, yes, sure, but... He was fated to be disposed of by the Oniwaban anyway if we didn't find whoever was behind this in a month. Even if he did manage to escape execution, what difference did it make if he was just going to disappear anyway? Tojo was silent, completely stunned. His threads were quickly turning the color of despair. Oh. No despair just yet. Tojo and I looked up when we heard his trustworthy voice. The two of you may be able to overcome the difficult circumstances set before you. Huh? What do you mean by... Stay by Kunitaka's side, Spacey. You possess the powers of the Hakaseki clan, which may hold the key. Oh, right, I forgot we're the magical last man standing in that clan. Right, okay, alright, we are the special. Well, it's not just the we can see threads and nobody else can special. Okay, I forgot about this, but there you go. There you go. Good job, game. Is it something other than my ability to see threads or use the snow sacrament? Correct. Am I really capable of something like that? Please tell me how can I save Tojo? He's like, you just have to fall in love with him. I'm already in love with him. I leaned forward as I asked this. All Lord Yoshimune did was smile suggestively. Smile suggestively like, I think you already know. You just gotta fall in love with him. It'll be fine. It's not something I ought to teach you. You'll understand when the time comes. Wait. Do I have to sleep with him? Because I'm okay with that. But I just find it funny. He's like, I can't teach you that shit, but you'll figure it out. Oh my god. Oh my god. Wait. I really hope that's it. Because that's going to be so funny. That would be so fucking funny. Because I'm like, look, Tojo's not dead. And then Lord Yoshimune is like, I know what you guys did last night. And then you're like, this is embarrassing. Because, like, nobody else, how did you do it? I was just the power of friendship and love. Yeah. You're not going to be like, I banged him into reality. I fucked him to life. You know what I mean? You're not going to say that, but Lord Yoshimune is going to be sitting over there nodding and chuckling to himself like, I know what you did. And he's going to be thinking of, oh, the pervy old man. Especially considering the fact that he was a whore back in his day. Probably still a little bit of one now, let's be real. And like, oh, dear God. Is that going to be what it is? That's the only thing I can think of with the way he's like suggestively looking at me like, I didn't teach you. And knowing what a little hoe bag he was. Oh, funny. Oh, dear God. Oh, I kind of hope that's what it is because that's hilarious. Then he turned his gaze to Tojo. You must also strive to return Spacey's feelings. Tojo's like, so I just have to force myself to fall in love? Spacey's feelings? You're confusing the poor thing. To be clear, I'm not at all suggesting that you enter a relationship. Since you both have hearts, every time you understand each other, you'll also quarrel. I ask that you fear not and never look away from your own heart. For the record, Spacey, that applies to you as well. Yes, my lord. Understood. And then she's like, we're gonna leave. And Tojo's like, did you understand any of that? She's like, no! Neither Tojo nor I could think of an appropriate way to respond to Lord Yoshimune's reminder. What does he mean? Don't look away from my own heart? Is that the key to saving Tojo? I know. She's like, understood. I understand nothing. Absolutely nothing. Yep, got it. I don't know what I got, because I got nothing. But I'll just say I got it, because I don't got nothing. I don't know. Like, the second that thought crossed my mind, maybe it has to be True Love's kiss. Blightfall. A Blightfall suddenly appeared. It didn't seem to come from anywhere in particular, appearing in an instant, almost out of thin air. Call for the boys, because we can't do it. At that exact moment, black thread stretched out and clamped the sliding door to the room shut, keeping us from escaping. Okay, but they're like very, very thin pieces of wood and paper screens. They can just bust through that motherfucking door. You know what I'm saying? Because if they're shoji screens, they're very like... Aren't they like paper screen? Like they're not... I'm just saying it's closing the door. It is not... Now maybe the wood's thick. Okay, but like... I'm pretty sure Tominari and Kyoshiro can just kick that fucking shit off its hinges and bust in here. This is not... You know what I mean? Like, Tojo sprang into action before anyone else. Lord Yoshimune! Spacey! He stepped in front of the Shogun and I right away to shield us. The Blightfall nimbly slipped past Tojo and headed for the Shogun. Its dreadful roar finally brought me back to my senses. I was standing closest to Lord Yoshimune. Unless I protected him... Lord Yoshimune! Don't come any closer! I'm its target! Ah! Did he just kick me? Sounded like he kicked me! Lord Yoshimine shoved me away to keep me from getting caught in the attack, but it seriously sounded like he kicked me. Jesus, that was rough. That moment seemed to play out in slow motion. The Blightfall attacking Lord Yoshimune, black threads reaching from its body to the ceiling. When I noticed them, the slow-moving scenery simultaneously returned to its normal speed. My lord! I rushed over to Lord Yoshimune. I'm assuming Kyoshiro and Tominari are trying to bust in right now, because they're not just hanging out. They can hear this. He'd been gravely wounded by the Blightfall, leaving me shaken and unsure what to do. Ah! Tojo began attacking to drive the Blightfall away, only for it to dissipate just before his attack landed. It probably withdrew so quickly because it had achieved its purpose, causing harm to Lord Yoshimune. Once he'd made sure the Blightfall was completely gone, Tojo hurried over to us. Kyosho was going to come in and said, I said no messing around. Tojo, his lordship is badly hurt. Lord Yoshimune! Lord Yoshimune! Tojo cradled Lord Yoshimune in his arms. I'm just saying, where the hell is everybody else? Because we walked in the hallway and we heard him calling. Screaming at his retainers like, what the fuck? So, there is no way Kyoshiro and Tominari, because Tominari did not go far. That they heard this going on, so why did they not pop in the room instantly? I know that the Blightfall supposedly held the door closed, whatever, and everything happened in a split second, so but they should be busting in now. You know what I mean? Anyway, he's cradling him in his arms. Oh, gross. Lord Yoshimune coughed violently, spitting up blood. I had such a hard time believing what I was seeing that my legs felt like they were glued to the floor. He's not gonna die. The black threads holding the sliding door shut had also vanished at some point. There we go. Your lordship, what the devil was that sound just now? Kunataka, is he... The two of them had heard the commotion and had been struggling with the sliding door held shut by the black threads the entire time. I'm just saying you should go kick that shit off its hinges. We can replace a door, or we can't replace this man. They finally entered the room and were left speechless by the horrors before them. Lord Yoshimune collapsed and bleeding. Tojo, his sword drawn, but his sword doesn't have blood on it, so... And the blood Lord Yoshimune had coughed up all over Tojo's kimono and arms. Okay, well, alright, that's not helping. His lordship was attacked by a Blightfall. We have to get him treatment, and quickly! And all of the color drained out of Tojo's face, perhaps realizing how he looked just now. No, it wasn't me. They're gonna get the wrong idea. I need to explain what just happened. Lord Yoshimune couldn't testify because he'd completely lost consciousness. How do I fix this situation? Worry about that later. Get this man fixed. The worst possible outcome had happened. That's, dramatic because... Ooh, chapter 7. This is the last chapter, guys. A few days had gone by since then. With the entire Oniwaban, save for Tojo, gathered round, Kyoshiro matter-of-factly explained the situation. First, some good news. I'm sure you've all been worried about Lord Yoshimune like I have, but we've managed to bring him back from the brink of death. I was deeply relieved to hear that. Seeing that he still hasn't regained consciousness, we have yet to determine his exact condition. The palace doctors are doing everything they can to treat him. Palace doctors? The doctors who serve the Shogun family. Is his lordship still here in the castle? No, he's been removed from the castle temporarily while they stabilize him. I can't reveal exactly where he's located right now, but no one will find him there. In that case, we can rest easy for the time being. But he was attacked inside the castle. Doesn't that mean nowhere safe? Don't jinx it. No need to worry about that since we've apprehended the culprit. I listened in silence, clenching my fist in frustration. Right, the culprit, Tojo, had been caught. They'd already more or less concluded that Tojo had attacked Lord Yoshimune using a Blightfall, so he was being held in jail at the moment. The Blightfall appeared in the audience chamber out of nowhere. We checked above the ceiling after receiving Spacey's report. But as you may already know, we didn't locate the summoner above the ceiling. Which leads us to unequivocally believe that Tojo, who was present at the scene, was behind this. But why would he... I like that Miyagi's like, but like why? See, you're a good softie. Don't know. Maybe he was being manipulated by a Blightfall. We'll find out eventually. Right. Once all the preparations are in order, we'll perform the re-implementation ceremony. Nobody believed Tojo. I couldn't take it anymore. I would threaten them now. I would be like, if you fucking do that, I will take all of you out and I will never fucking help you and you can all go fuck yourselves. Tojo isn't the one behind this. They all looked at me with either surprise or pity. They all look like they're giving me pity right now, to be fair. Their gazes alone made me want to give in, but I roused myself back up. I love what they're doing with this route, to be fair. This is genius. Because Tojo's a good character, don't get me wrong. He's not one of my favorites, but there's nothing wrong with him. He's in the middle of the pack. You know what I mean? Like, he's a good boy. He's adorable. You know, there's nothing wrong with him. But what I love is it doesn't matter if you were like, Tojo's not for me, or, oh my god, he's the best, he's your favorite. Doesn't matter, because you get to this and you were like, how dare you try to accuse my Labradoodle of this shit? I will beat you all. You do... And it makes you just so... It makes me so mad on behalf of Tojo. Like, how dare you bitches think you're gonna come all up in here and re-implement my poor little tobacco pouch. You leave him alone. Don't you dare hurt him like that. You're gonna make him cry. And you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, I just want to defend him to the death. Okay? I will fight all of them. I will lose, but I will die. I mean, I'm going to go down fast and hard, but I will fight to the death in 2 minutes that it'll take them to kill me for Tojo's sake, okay? Like, so good. Good job, game. Making me just feel so impassioned that, like, how dare you? And I'm sure I would fight this way for any of the love interests that are actually, like, good. Or, you know what I mean? Like, there's somewhere you're like, how dare you? They did nothing wrong. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what it is about Tojo that just makes you so impassioned that you need to defend him like this. You know what I mean? Am I the only one? Like, I just feel like this is great writing that they're like, we're going to make them, and then you are just, it's going to make everyone so mad on behalf for Tojo's sake. Like, I'll fight. We're going to fight. We're going to throw down. You know what I mean? I will kick you in the shins, sirs. So it's like, it's ingenious that it makes me so mad for his sake. I love it. Instead of being like, whatever, he'll be fine. It's like, I know he'll be fine, but I'm still mad about it. You know, like, their gazes alone made me want to give in, but I roused myself back up. I've explained this time and time again, but Tojo didn't do a thing. I know because I was with him. The Blightfall really did appear out of nowhere in a split second. Black threads were extending from the ceiling as well, so Tojo had nothing to do with it. Lord Yoshimune was also the one who not only summoned Tojo and I there, but cleared everyone else out of the room. Tojo didn't plan his way near Lord Yoshimune. Still, you'll know for sure that Tojo is innocent when Lord Yoshimune wakes up and provides his own account of what happened. We don't know when that will be. Lord Yoshimune still hasn't regained consciousness. And if you kill Tojo before he does and he tells you you were wrong, I demand all of your heads on pikes. I will demand you get turned back into whatever the fuck you were and I will smash whatever it is. I'm not going to do that because I love him. But I will threaten him with it. I'm just saying. I might actually going to turn you back into the vase that you were. I don't know that he was a vase, but you know what I mean? He just seems like he could be a vase. He's just like really pretty, you know? You know, he could be a pretty vase. Like whatever. I will take Yoichi's crotchety old man cane and I will snap that thing in two. I will burn Tominari's pill case. I will just destroy whatever objects you came from. I know you're not coming back, but I will destroy whatever objects you were. It's a final kick in the face in your death, you bastards. As much as I love you guys. There's a chance you might be under the control of a Blightfall already. Therefore, we can't take your testimony at face value either. But I be like, how dare you? And I just walk out. I'd be like, I'm not helping any of you fuckers anymore. And then I just start swinging with my feet, kicking them in the shins. They're not going to see it coming. Insisting that I wasn't being controlled by a Blightfall wouldn't change anything. No one believed me, and no one would take me seriously. This is where you storm out. And then they're like, women are so overly emotional. You know what, you motherfuckers? It's also because you have no emotion, so fair, I guess, in this case, but I felt powerless. My shoulders slumped. Although you have unique powers, you're still a mere human in body and mind, just like us. You're more emotional than me, by the way. Yabuna, although I understand how you feel, the situation leaves us with no choice other than not believing you. But you really didn't... I didn't finish my sentence. I knew anything I said would be shrugged off. I would not be standing for this. I would walk the fuck out. Although, no, to be fair, in her, but like, I'm angry, but like, in her position and being there, you'd be so defeated that you'd be like, I can't even move. I'm just so depressed and overwhelmed and defeated that I'm just gonna sit here and try not to fucking cry. You know what I mean? And then you're gonna get angry and bust through those doors and storm out, but... Tomonori, I'll continue leaving Spacey to you. Yes, sir. Neither of them had been specific just now, but I knew they meant observing me. I'm surrounded by so many people, but I feel so alone right now. Feeling hopelessly alone, I looked down at the ground. Afterwards, Kyoshiro explained our next steps in simple terms. Their next steps. You are not part of this team anymore, girl. Stop acting like you are. We were to continue guarding Lord Yoshimune while looking for the children. In short, not much different from what we'd been doing. They'd been doing. You were not part of this. Fuck them. I mean, that means fucking over the kids, but... Hey! I'd be like, we could have done it. I could have helped you find the kids, but you failed the kids. You let them die. That's a you problem. As guilty as I might feel about it, I'm just, you know. They're not going to feel guilty about it. They have no feelings. After sharing some basic information, we went our separate ways for the day. What are your plans after this? None of your damn business! Tomonori asked me after everyone else had left the room. Just glare at him and walk away. Oh, I braced myself after suddenly remembering the conversation we'd had earlier. Tomonori was a vessel, meaning he didn't act according to his emotions. He had to follow the commands of his leader, Kyoshiro. I knew that in my head, but couldn't reconcile my feelings, leaving me conflicted. Are you mad? Yes, I'll show you mad. You want to see mad? I'll show you fucking mad. Tomonori peered at me, looking a bit troubled. I mean, it's not really fair to take it out on all of the emotionless robots, but I still want to take it out on the emotionless robots for being emotionless robots and not listening to reason. It's brilliant writing. I'm like, I love it because it makes me so impassioned. Good. You know, that's kind of like when there's a villain in a book or something and you're like, I mean, this guy's a dick. Like, whatever. And if they don't make you literally want to jump in the book and light them on fire, it's kind of not great writing. You know what I mean? You're like, this guy sucks. You know, where you're like, oh, interesting. Okay. But like the good villains are the ones that you were like, I just want to jump in this book, punch you in the face, and drag you down to the pits of hell myself. Where they make you so mad that you get a little worked up and you're like, God damn it, I hate you. And you're like, actually, that's a good character. I mean, it could also be shit writing. If you're like, this character is so useless, why are they here? What is wrong with you? What is their purpose? They just exist and you're shoving them in and you have terrible character writing. That's also another reason to hate them. But you know what I mean? Like, and we've played plenty of games where you're like, I hate this character so much. It's so good. I love them. They're a great villain because you love to hate them. You know what I mean? We're looking at Capucine. I know that's exactly the first thought in everybody's mind right now. You know what I mean? So, like, the fact that this makes me so angry, it's not angry in a bad way. Like, God damn, this game's pissing me off. I'm like, how dare you all? I love this. It makes me so impassioned to protect Tojo, and I hate it that you're making me, like, angst like this. But, like, I love it at the same time because, like, good for you. It's not just like, hey, this is a fun time. Oh my God, I can't believe they did that. What a bag of dicks. You know, it's like you're making me feel intensely like wanting to protect him, and I love it. I don't know. Having a good time with it. But like, goddamn, we keep ending up in the same goddamn spot, don't we? Where we keep having to defend him for these people. So it's like, damn it. I suppose I should be mad about that. Like, okay, don't keep recycling this, but at the same time, it makes sense. That makes absolute sense. But, oh, and besides, it's the last chapter. We'll get him out. We'll be fine. Sitting silent the entire time had probably given him that impression. No, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Because that's worse. I'm just not sure how to act around you right now. I'm sorry. When I openly told him how I felt, Tominari sadly muttered, I see, and left the room. Sadly? You feel sad? Boo fucking who? How do you think I feel, asshole? We like Tominari, but still. We're mad right now, so we're gonna just, no, fuck all of you. I will smash all the objects when you demand your heads on pikes. It's gonna hurt, and I don't want to do that, but like, threaten. I will threaten. And I will be convincing when I threaten. No one in the Oniwabont would lend me their ear. I knew we'd never get any closer to the truth at this rate. I've got to figure something out. I left the room, my feet heavy. We rambled a lot, but also I don't have a full hour, so it's a little under time. And I feel like, oh, look, we got the bird with us. We got Kamame. I was like, what the fuck? Could I remember her name for my brain was like, Konnichiwa. That's not the bird's name. Anyway, we're a little under time, but like we know this game, the part will be 10 minutes long. So anyway, I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.